And now, aviation weather around Alaska. Here is your aviation weather for the rest of this weekend and into early next week. We continue to see IFR conditions across the lower Gulf back toward Kodiak Island and on the North Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula early Sunday as a result of a frontal system that's slowly working its way northeastward and weakening, also an impulse of low pressure. So we have energy and moisture that's going to be riding northward up into the northern Gulf and eventually pressing all the way up into areas of the southwest interior and up along the Alaska Range. That's going to create some precipitation as well. Further west, IFR conditions up along the Beaufort Sea, off of the Arctic coast, down through the Bering Strait, especially from around Gambell southwestward through St. Matthew and then down through the central and western Aleutians. We do expect widespread IFR conditions. Sunday afternoon, there could be a few thunderstorms mixed in with some scattered showers across the eastern interior, which includes areas around the Yukon Flats down to the 40-mile Gold Country. Temperatures will be warmer in this region. We expect some highs to approach 80 degrees or so, especially around Fort Yukon and Eagle. Further south, we have the energy of the low pressure and frontal system with the moisture and windier conditions. Brisk east winds Sunday could create some pretty significant turbulence at the entrance there of Cook Inlet, but widespread IFR conditions are anticipated across the lower portion and especially western, southwestern Gulf. Again, IFR conditions generally portions of the lower Chukchi Sea down through the Bering Strait and out through the western half of the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. Monday morning, IFR conditions remain rather extensive out over the central western Gulf up into the eastern Kenai and creeping into the entrance there of perhaps Portage Pass. Further north along the Arctic coast, we have widespread IFR conditions. It would be mainly due to some lower cloud cover and areas of fog, and that would extend from near Kaktovik all the way through Utqiagvik and down south toward Point Lay. And then we have IFR again across much of the western Bering and central portions of the Bering Sea, even creeping into the eastern Aleutians. For Monday afternoon, we expect scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms along areas of the central and eastern interior as far north as the northeastern portion of the Brooks Range. And then IFR conditions still along areas of the Arctic coast. Also IFR conditions still along portions of the Gulf Coast and out over the central and eastern Gulf. And then back west, IFR conditions will generally rule from areas of St. Lawrence Island through St. Matthew, St. Paul, and then again out across the central and western Aleutians. Past conditions on Sunday. Anaktuvuk Pass should generally see VFR conditions. There could be some cumulus buildups with the daytime heating. Same thing, Atigun Pass, VFR conditions with some cumulus buildups during the later afternoon and evening. Lake Clark and Merrill should generally see VFR conditions become MVFR because that moisture is riding slowly northeastward from the frontal system that's pushing up across the Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island. And Rainy Pass on up through Windy Pass there in the central Alaska Range to Isabel Pass, we'll see VFR conditions hold on Sunday. Once you get a little further east, Mentasta Pass will generally see VFR conditions, but some cumulus buildups could lead to an isolated thunderstorm in vicinity of Mentasta Pass, and especially further north as you fly up toward the Alcan border and the 40-mile Gold Country. Further south down across the Copper River Basin, MVFR conditions early in the day at Tanita Pass giving way to VFR. In Portage Pass, generally MVFR conditions are going to exist midway out over Prince William Sound, but we anticipate VFR conditions there, especially along the western half of the pass and there at the west entrance of Portage Pass. Chilkoot and White start out the day in the far northern Panhandle. IFR conditions early morning should improve to at least to MVFR as we go through late morning and afternoon. Freezing levels, well, they have come upward here across the Alcan border and around and over 10,000 feet, this area of northwest Canada. We do have a ridge of high pressure in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere over this region. That high early next week will retreat back eastward and then southward. So at least I think we're going to start to see some drying here for the later weekend, Sunday into Monday across the Panhandle, maybe a little warmer temperatures. And we see those freezing levels aloft as high as 10,000 feet in the lower Gulf. This pocket of cooler air aloft where the freezing level drops to to 6,000 feet over the eastern Aleutians and at the tip of the Alaska Peninsula. That's a pool of colder air aloft associated with the low pressure that's in this region early on Sunday. And then back here to the north, some colder air behind a weakening cold front. We see freezing levels aloft down to 2,000 feet there along the eastern Arctic coast. And taking a look at the icing threats, there could be some moderate icing along areas of the Gulf back toward the Kenai Peninsula Sunday afternoon above 10,000 feet with those higher freezing levels aloft, and then back toward the colder pool of air aloft above 6,000 feet, the Alaska Peninsula and portions of the southwest interior, scattered showers, isolated thunderstorm above 8,000 feet, and then way back out toward the western Aleutians, there could be some moderate icing above 12,000 feet. Upper level jet stream winds at 30,000 feet. You can see the circulation around low pressure, strongest in excess of 100 knots in areas below the Gulf, and then also across portions of the southwest interior, mainly from the south-southeast. We also have some stronger winds pushing southeastward there along the British Columbia coast, 85 to 95 knots. At 700 millibars or 9,000 feet, we find a broad belt of winds 40 to even near 50 knots at 9,000 feet there, especially along some of the higher terrain south end of, the Kenai Peninsula near Homer and across from there, and the Alaska range. And these south winds extend westward out over areas of the Yukon Delta at 35 to 45 knots. 3,000 feet, the low circulation is back here toward the south end of the Alaska Peninsula, and the southeast to east flow along that is pulling in some stronger winds that'll lead to turbulence there, especially at the entrance of Cook Inlet, and then just across the way in here, crossing the Alaska range near and just south of Lake Iliamna. And that is where we do expect the potential for some isolated severe turbulence on Sunday there at the entrance of Cook Inlet back toward the Alaska range, surface to 4,000 feet. A broad area of moderate turbulence possible from Prince William Sound, the Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak Island, westward across Bristol Bay and up into areas of the southwest interior to near Bethel. And then also we expect some turbulence surface to 3,000 feet across portions of the central and western Aleutians on Sunday.